All right, the first story we want to cover tonight or at this time is the Honest Bunch, the my favorite podcast in the world right now. Maybe second favorite, maybe third. I'm not sure, but I love the Honest Bunch. It gives us. It reminds me very quickly that Nigeria is getting westernized very very quickly. Okay, so but they have something to say here about gender roles. We're gonna play maybe just a few minutes of it, and then I wanted to talk about it. So let's go ahead and play that right about now.
So
Can I
if
tell
the
you?
man
Can
can
I tell you
provide, the
something
woman can
happened?
provide.
Something
You have to
happened
be with a
recently.
partner that can do that for you
Can
when
I
you don't
tell
have
you
anything.
something happened
So,
recently, right? The person that this happened would, if he watch the podcast definitely, and he would hear this.
Shout out to the Honest Bunch.
So he
Fair
gave
use.
me something that belongs to him, and while I was using it, it got spoiled, and I fixed it. Right after I fixed it, I didn't even tell him I fixed it. I told somebody else that I fixed it, and the person told him, and he called me and he said, I gave you my stuff and it got spoiled. Why did you fix it? It's my responsibility to fix it.
Wow.
So some guys,
The guy
wait, no.
Nah.
You know, see,
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Allow me to
I'll
finish.
come back
Allow
to
me
him.
to finish, please.
It even depends on what got
No,
spoiled.
allow me
Let
to-
me even know what got
No,
spoiled.
allow me to
Wait
finish,
now,
please.
DJ begin.
So, so many men believe that. I mean, this is feminine to do. Like I've read some places that they say, oh, ladies, sometimes if your bulb should spoil and don't fix it, sometimes massage the man's ego. Just tell him something you can fix. So massage the man's ego and say, oh, baby, my bulb has spoiled. Let him feel like the man and fix the bulb for you. Sometimes, right? Sometimes, right? If you do some kind things and you're with your partner and you're doing it, sometimes men feel like, why is she trying to act like the man?
Like you want to go and throw
just-
generator.
Do you know the truth? Do you know the
to go and
truth?
drag
But
generator.
then when you feel
Thank God for
very,
saying
very
why.
So they're talking about gender roles, gender assignments, depending on what part of the human experience you connect with. Now, this is interesting, right? Now the topics that I've created here says the Honest Bunch on gender roles in the 21st century: cooking versus tire changing. You often hear people will say, well, cooking is a life skill, right? Everyone should be able to cook. There's a buzzword. If you've been paying attention to what I've been saying here for a little bit over 18 months now, right? The should, right? Anytime you use should or could, basically you're fantasizing, okay? You're fantasizing, okay? I'm not saying don't use the word should, but I just want you to be aware that every time you say something should, right? You're not only admitting that it's not the reality, but you're also actively fantasizing. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but clearly it's not happening. That's why you're saying should, okay? So should cooking be a life skill? I think eating is a life skill. I think finding yourself something to eat is a life. However way you do it, it's a life skill. Okay, cooking is not a life skill. That's you assuming that I want to cook, right? Especially in 2023, there are so many other ways to eat without having to cook. Both on both sides of the gender, right? Either you're a woman or woman. You want to order it. I don't know if you know yet. For certain people, depending on the lifestyle, what city they live in, ordering out is actually cheaper and healthier for them. So there's no case you want to make for it that's not going to be basically just cap.
Stop the cap.
Okay, I know you've like, hey, cooking is a life skill. Everyone should be able to cook. Okay, good. That's a different topic. Even if you're right, let me just agree with you. You're right, right? Let me agree with you. Right.
Oh, you're right.
I'm struggling to see what it has to do with this. Okay, I get it. Men often want their woman to cook, and they're coming from a place of entitlement. Yeah, they are also weird because nowadays, again, like I said, ordering out can be healthier. It depends on what part of the world you live in. It can be healthier and can be cheaper. Okay, that I'm not encouraging people to do it. I think you should cook your own food, right? but the keyword should just came in there again. For a lot of people's reality, it's just not feasible. Okay, so now should you continue to strive to be able to cook your own food? Yes, sure. But clearly there's a problem there. It's not fitting into people's lifestyle, right? Now, tire changing. So that's one cap. The other side of the cap is that they're asking, like, okay, would you get down from the car if your boyfriend or your husband, the tire is now flat, right? And it's time to change to the spare tire. And these ladies will not admit that even if they're getting down, they're coming down to watch. They just won't admit because they have to. This equality thing is a struggle, right? It's a struggle. Now, I would say keep advocating for it, but let's not cap. The truth of the matter is that on both sides, there is what they call double standards. And because it's on both sides, to me, that sounds fair. If you're obsessed with fairness, that already sounds fair to me. Let me play a little bit more of it.
Why is she trying to act like a man?
And you're saying, baby,
Isn't
help
it-
me do this, and
You're
baby,
so
help me do
complaining.
this. They say, why is this one asking?
Isn't it? Let me
Man
tell you
that
the
used to
truth.
shave
Isn't it? Let me tell you the truth. Thank God you mentioned the line. Why is she trying to act like a man? A man. A lot of women these days are trying to abdicate their own role as a woman for trying to be a man.
So when we sit back and say
Like I
provide,
talk
they say,
now.
So that sounds too general for me. What do you mean? Can you be a little bit more specific? Can you give us an example? Like, say, for example, the car broke down on the road, the tire is flat, and she said, no, babe, you sit down, I got it this time, right? Is that what we're talking about? Because most women are not doing that. Again, see, generalization in the care. I know there are some scenarios, all right, where people are doing that, okay? But it's definitely not tire changing. It's not certain roles. It's only in certain roles, right? People are literally picking and choosing where they want to abdicate. Is that the English? Abdicate the role, and they want to do some other ones, but they don't want to eliminate the other ones, right? That's the reality that we're seeing everywhere. Okay, let me see who is in the chat. Hey, change tire. Shala, what's up, Shala? Changing tire is associated with men. Likewise, cooking is associated. These are the reality. This is the reality. But again, everything. People are fighting with reality. This is why they're struggling. I'm not saying we shouldn't encourage people to do other things and take care of themselves. But I think because we're not being truthful, okay, we're not being honest with the actual underlying motive here, we're struggling. Because the reality is that double standard is real. All right, there are some. It's part of our social. You can call it social construct. You can call it social construct. It's okay. It's our reality. If you don't like it, sure, there's nothing wrong with not liking certain things, but to continue to pretend, yeah, these are why people are struggling. Let me play a little bit more.
why can't you provide?
Do you have a problem with a man not providing? Honest question I'm asking you.
I don't
Honest
have a
question.
problem with them complaining when they
Hold
As far as it's
on,
not a relationship
hold
with
on.
me.
See, they couldn't answer that. Let me repeat what he just said. Shout out to DJ Big N.
Do you have a problem with a man not providing? Honest question I'm asking you.
I don't have
If a man is not able to provide, do you have a problem with that? Right? She's saying I don't have a problem with that. In the short term, you see, we're not talking about it's a temporary situation. The answer she's giving is to temporary situation. Right? I don't have a problem. But would you feed a family for a longer period of time? For whatever reason, even if it's their village that's doing it, you can't understand it. He's just trying to, you can see his effort, but it's not working out. After a while, would you have a problem with that? Right? If you didn't have a problem with it, will your father have a problem with a man that can provide?
a
the
I have a problem with
relationship-
them complaining when they
Hold
As far as
on,
it's not a
hold
relationship
on.
with me.
My point exactly.
Wait, what?
them complaining.
Man not providing. Honest question I'm asking you.
I don't have
In
a I
the
have a problem with
relationship-
them complaining when they
Hold
As far as it's
on,
not a
hold
relationship
on.
with me.
My point exactly. You see, so
And now,
so let me face
She
you.
don't
Let
know
me
you
face
may
you.
advise
we are not in a
that
relationship
So let me face
with
you.
me.
Hold on.
She said you're not in a relationship with me. At least she's straight up.
So,
You have a problem with a man
No,
not providing
I don't have a problem with a man not providing.
in a relationship?
As long as it's
With
not with
me.
you.
It's not going to be a problem. There won't be a relationship, so there won't be no problem.
You see life. Sheraye Lodi. She said she won't be in a relationship with him. It's not possible. Wahala. Changing tires, yes. Hey, Just Jay, good to see you. I change tires because I have to. Right? Yeah, I don't fancy cooking. I wish my hubby cooks, but it is what it is. If he doesn't, but I'm teaching my sons how to cook. Yeah, there's not. Listen, my wife will claim that I don't know how to cook. I can throw down a little bit, but I don't enjoy it. But I also get to get away with not enjoying it. Why? Because of our social construct. It's not just my fault. Okay, maybe, right? But it's really just societal fault. She also has the same expectations of herself as a normal woman, right? That she should be the one doing it. It's not me imposing it. It's like we're all built in the same social construct, right? So if we're going to change anything, we need to first of all admit that. First of all, she said, I don't understand the question. Oh, the question it was asking is like, do you have a problem with a man not being able to provide? If a man can't provide, is that a problem? Or automatically, is that a problem? The honest answer should be yes. Most women may not be able to admit, just like she's having a hard time admitting it, but if he can't provide, he can't provide. That's a problem. That at some point, maybe not in the short term, if you're really nice and you want to help your man and all of this stuff, at some point a man will need to provide. That same requirement is not required of a woman by our society, the same society we live in, regardless of what part of the world, right? Maybe so there's some exception in some hole somewhere in the middle of the ocean of Australia, I don't know, or somewhere deep inside of Africa. But generally speaking, that's that in the long term, that's a problem. At the very minimum, like, oh, you might be able to help your man in a short-term situation. He lost his job, business failed. Yes, of course, we know that a good woman will help. At some point, that's going to start to tamper with a sense of security, a certainty, which is a basic human need, particularly for women in a relationship, right? It doesn't mean she's a gold digger. It's just, again, once something starts to tamper with a sense of security and feeling safe, nothing is going to work, right? Nothing is going to work, literally, But I want to know what your thoughts are about this, because I want to move on to I don't want to spend too much time, but shout out to the Honest Bunch. It's a good podcast. I want to know what your thoughts are on this later on in the comments later on. I want to know what your thoughts are about this. Is gender role still very much alive? Even though the 21st century, Gen Z people, we haven't gotten to Gen Alpha yet. They are fighting tooth and nail to change everything that we know, to change it, but they have no solutions to replace it with. It's just confusion everywhere, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts? I want to know what your thoughts are about this so that we can move on. I'll be right